morning, everyone, and welcome to Rosslyn Hill Chapel, a spiritual home for open minds. I'm an elder of the chapel and worship assistant for this. There is a space for you here. Whatever your race, gender, sexuality, class, age, and physical and mental capability, we welcome you in the spirit of love. During the service, there is a children's chapel and creche for children called Bright Lights. And this will be for children aged 2 and above. Those under 2 are welcome in the creche, but need to be accompanied by an adult. If you're watching at home, please join the virtual side aisle at midday. The Zoom link is in the weekly email, and you can find it via the link in the YouTube description. And those of you in the chapel, do join us for tea and coffee in the real side aisle after the service. Just to say that later on today, there will be a Sing Away Winter Blues singing workshop, which will actually now be led by Sally Gravity. And so that's at 4 o'clock. And that will be followed at 6 by a 30 minutes mindfulness meditation and a heart and soul gathering at 7. But the details of this and other notices are in your worship sheet. I'll now hand over to our worship leader for this morning, whom many of you know, the interfaith minister, Lindsay Stevens.
Thank you, James. Yeah, hello everybody. As James mentioned, my name's Lindsay. I'm a One Spirit Interfaith minister, and as usual, it's lovely to be here with you all today in Rosslyn Chapel, which is so lovely and cozy and warm. On this brightening, late winter's morning. Our theme this morning is Winter Blues, where we recognize that the cold and dark after our festivities during this last half of winter can be challenging for so many of us in different ways. So in our gathering this morning, my hope is that we'll take some space to inwardly name how we feel about this time of year, where we are finding it challenging, if we do, and if so, to envisage at least one thing that we could do to uplift and nourish our spirits for the next couple of months. And as usual, as James said, you're welcome here, whoever you are, however you're feeling. And apologies for those of you who are following the order of service. I've changed the order. It has all the same components in it, but I've changed the flow a little bit. So you might sort of need to jump around a bit. So James is going to light the candle, our chalice for us this morning. And it's lit to remind us both of our yearning for and the possibility of a brighter world, even in the midst of the darkness that we're witnessing. And it's also in honor of today being World Religion Day. World Religion Day originated in the Baha'i community in the States in 1950 with the intention of promoting unity and understanding among people of different faiths. So very important. Thank you, James. So let's join our voices in our first hymn and sing Spirit of Life, number 148. And as it's such a short hymn, we'll sing it through twice. Thank you. I always find that hymn beautifully gentle and anchoring when I'm feeling unsteady. So now we come to our time for all ages, where I might need some help with the microphone. So I move away. Any children, would you like to come and sit down at the front? You're very welcome. Sorry. If I don't catch the microphone, oops. I now invite you to a time of prayer and reflection. We come together in kinship with our hearts by moment full of joy and full of concern. If you're holding someone or a place or situation in your heart this morning, I invite you to name out loud, if you wish, in the coming moments of stillness, so that we may all hold them also in our hearts. And you're invited, if you wish, also to include your own names. Spirit of life and love, God of our hearts and of our understanding, we offer gratitude for those things and people who bring us love and joy in our lives, and pray for the safekeeping of all those for whom we are concerned. May all those names, places, and situations, spoken and unspoken, be and feel surrounded by the loving kindness we hold them in today. So may it be, and so it is. Amen. And I invite James now to share our first reading. Thanks, James.
The reading is The Night by Rainer Maria Rilke. You, darkness, of whom I am born, I love you more than the flame that limits the world to the circle it illuminates and excludes all the rest. But the dark embraces everything, shapes and shadows, creatures and me, people, nations, just as they are. It lets me imagine a great presence stirring beside me. I believe in the night.
Thank you, James. I'll now read a short piece by Mariah Amma Hope. Go gently into this year, my love. Tread lightly. Love to the best of your capacity. It's okay to go slow. You can ease your way in. Sense your way through the mists of January. Breathe. Rest. Prepare and hold lightly to your plans, for this year will be a year like no other. Rest now. Rest. You will be called into action soon enough. For now, let it be easy. Let it be. Let be. Be. So let's sing again and join our voices in hymn number 217.
first through on the piano once, and then people stand up.
I was just going to suggest that we do that. Yeah. Do you want to do that, Thomas? Just play one more time and then, and then we'll sorry, that wasn't very clear. I don't know this very well. We're starting again. And Thomas is just going to play the first verse all the way through, and then we'll join in when he's come. Yeah, maybe can you come? Actually, that was very sweet. It was so quietly sung. I apologise. I looked at the words trying to find a hymn that fitted with the theme this morning, and I was so taken by the words. I thought, I don't know this hymn, but they will. So that sounded really lovely. Thank you. And thank you, Thomas. So when Kate suggested this theme for this winter service, I thought I'd find it challenging because although I feel the cold very acutely, at the same time, I find the short days offer me a sense of peace and nurture. And in no way do I wish to tell anyone that they're wrong to experience winter blues or anything that they experience. So hopefully, I'm just sharing my thoughts, just in the hope that they may support, or you may not need support. I don't want to assume that you do. And I feel that what we're living through collectively will be affecting how deeply the lack of light and cold are affecting us. And I really wish to acknowledge here that we've lived through yet another year where, in addition to any of our own personal challenges, losses or sorrows, and those of our loved ones, we've witnessed and continue to witness devastatingly painful world events, which have most probably left us with a sense of overwhelm, grief, or hopelessness, or all of these by moment, perhaps. And I personally find the cold, dark season can feel very supportive when grieving. It somehow holds us in a contained, quiet space, which warmer, gentler days and with more light can't in the same way. And also, I think the opposite can feel true. We live in a culture so enamored with movement and doing, striving and achieving. We so often forget or overlook or avoid the gifts of the darkness, this slowing down, and we rush to the reassurance of the enlightening of our days. And without a doubt, we are solar beings, enlivened by light and warmth. And so many of us do find these cold, dark days challenging. As I mentioned, I kind of have a foot in both camps. I do feel the cold very intensely, and I also feel very held by the darkness, which soothes my nervous system. And this year, I've really been allowing myself very early nights, which feels very supportive and a loving thing to do for myself. And although I really love the spring, I still often feel I'm not quite ready for that changing pace of life which spring encourages, or almost kind of more than encourage, very strongly encourages. Since the winter solstice, the days have been growing noticeably longer, haven't they? Although we are still fairly deep in cold winter days. After a very cold week, it has been milder today, but it has been very cold. The Celtic festival in Imbolc is on the 2nd of February, which is very soon, isn't it? And that heralds the first stirrings of spring. So it's not long to wait. I went out for a walk earlier this week in the heavy frost, but it was sunny and the sky was brilliantly blue and the air was absolutely full of birdsong. Spring was really palpably in the air, as it feels like it is this morning as well. I think it's the great tit that sounds like a bicycle pump. It was so loud this morning. And yet how we feel and respond to winter is complex, isn't it? And probably dependent on all kinds of things. And I feel that our grief over the condition of the world may influence our ability to surrender to or trust the fertile darkness, or perhaps even to trust or look forward to or feel reassured by the return of the light. Either way, it's really a time to treat ourselves with kindness, deep kindness. And this may be our last chance to rest deeply for a while. And as I say that, I hope that you have each been able to find some rest since the busyness of Christmas. And I acknowledge that it may not have been possible for all of us. Whenever I'm faced with writing about something which is challenging for me, I usually begin with, how would it be to surrender to the difficult feelings and just sit with them, or the difficult situation, and really feel it, really feel how it impacts on me at my core, and just acknowledge that from a heart-centered place. This is how it is. It can be hard. This is how it is. And I do usually find that really helpful as a starting place. The Buddhist thought teaching that surrender to how things are holds the healing, and it's our resistance which causes suffering, feels true in many, many cases. Surrender to what we can't change is often very healing. Winter darkness and winter cold are impermanent. This is how it is right now, but it will change. So this can open up a portal of hope. So perhaps an important question to ask ourselves is, what brings most light into our being? I usually ask myself, what is it that makes something difficult for me? And just sit with that for a while. And then ask myself, what would most nurture me in this challenge? And then I try to do even a little bit of that which brings more light and upliftment or ease to my life. So for me, the most gentle way to move through this last couple of months of winter is to surrender to the gifts of the darkness, which this year in particular I have found to be many and profound, mainly of rest and reflection. I've been grieving the loss of my father, and also, like so many of us, also the situation in Gaza and Ukraine and many, many other places in the world, torn apart by conflict. And I've really welcomed the outer silence of the dark early evenings to contain and rest in my grief. The darkness feels like it really does supply a gentle, supportive container, which is sort of helping me to draw myself back together and find healing for the parts of myself which have been saddened by these feelings, simply by giving them space and a compassionate listening ear. There's a chant that I really love to sing at this time of winter cold, and it has the words, "Every time I go into the darkness, I return with fistfuls of jewels." And I find this really supportive and healing in times when I find the winter all too much, which alongside feeling nurtured by it, I do often feel. So whenever we're suffering in ways big or small, self-care is always really important. And it feels really important to create some time in our lives for what makes us come alive, those things or people we love and find nurturing, which bring warmth and light or comfort to our lives. Talking to Margaret just now, coming here is one of those things for her. We all have our things that bring us love and light to our lives, don't we? The frantic pace of Christmas, coupled with the darkness and perhaps unheeded calls to turn inward and reflect on our lives, can also sow seeds of loneliness, which may be one reason why some of us find it challenging, that we're just a little bit more cut off and isolated. Or we may have something very painful happening, or a painful anniversary. Or it may just be that on a physical level, we find it hard to stay warm, or keep our mood uplifted. So may we do a little bit of whatever our hearts yearn for, which is possible this time of year, whether it's a walk on Hampstead Heath or our local park, sitting observing the changing light or listening to nature wakening around us, or having tea with a friend, or planting seeds of plants, or metaphorical seeds for our lives. Life moves fast. Perhaps we can find a way to enjoy this last slice of time where nature supports slowness before the beautiful activity and offerings of the spring. Thank you. So, as Thomas plays for us now, you're invited to come up and light a candle to symbolize a quality which you feel you need at this time, or as a prayer which you carry in your heart for either yourself, for others, or our suffering world at this time. Thanks, James. Thank you, Thomas. And thank you, everybody, for your prayers. Thank you. And keeping the stillness now, I invite you into a time of guided meditation. So do put yourself in a comfortable position, preferably with both feet on the floor, so you feel the earth supporting you underneath and your chair supporting you. And become aware of your breathing, your in-breath and your out-breath, gently without changing anything. And now touch in gently with how you're feeling at the moment as you navigate midwinter. And rest in that for a moment. What is it that you might love about this time? What have you been enjoying? Really feel into that. And if you can't feel anything that you enjoy, Feel into that too. And what do you feel most difficult, most challenging? And really allow yourself to feel into that. And if you're finding it particularly hard, you may wish to place a hand or both hands tenderly over your heart. And in this quiet moment, I invite you to open your heart to the question, when in your life has the seeming absence of light been a gift to you? What gifts have you or can you find in the darkness? Then I invite you to ask yourself if there's something you can do to uplift your spirits, if that's what you need. Or could you allow yourself to rest, if that's what you need? Is there something you could do to help you accept, honor this cold, dark time before spring brings more light and activity? Is there a way you can bring a bit more light or warmth symbolically into your life? Maybe a bit more joy, laughter, or connection. So just spend a few moments breathing with all your feelings, be they of challenge, sadness, excitement, or anticipation of the spring and what it brings. Whatever they are, you're invited to sit with them and honor them for a moment. invite you to reconnect with your breath, your in-breath and your out-breath. And again, feel your feet on the ground and your body supported by your chair. And gently, when you're ready, open your eyes again. Thank you. Let's join our voices now in our final hymn, 163. Thank you, Thomas. I share this poem now by Diana Sanders as a blessing. This flame, kindled by the kind breath of spring, burns always within. May it find the dark and forgotten places and bring warmth as the flame grows in beauty and in strength. May it kindle forgotten lights in the hearts of us all, and may the light of peace spread as silently throughout the world. Spirit of life and love, God of our hearts and our understanding, may the blessings of the darkness and the gifts of the light be received by us fully. May we plant the seeds of abiding peace in our own hearts, our families and communities, and in the world in the way we walk through our everyday, through the ways we choose to be with ourselves and each other fully. So may it be, and so it is. Amen. So as we come to a close, I'd like to thank you all for coming this morning to this precious time together in this precious chapel. Thank you to Thomas for the wonderful music, and to James for holding space for me and for reading for us, and to whoever decorated and did the flowers here that are so beautiful, and to Margaret for doing our refreshments, and also to Kate for inviting me. I always love coming here. And yeah, to anybody else who's working behind the scenes to keep the working of this chapel going. May you all feel the returning light and warmth uplifting and guiding your lives, and find comfort, joy, love, and healing, or whatever you need in the coming times. Go well, all of you, and thank you.
Thanks again to Thomas, and thank you very much, Lindsay, for being here today and sharing with us. Please do join us for tea and coffee in the side aisle.